with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonics Money Transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
Morning. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I'd like to welcome all of you to KMC. This is just a small press briefing, I would say, just to shed some light on the recommendation of KMC through my office for the Alkaloship of Latrikunda Yiringanya or Latrikunda German settlement. It's unfortunate that I am having this press conference because I really don't like to engage in matters that I don't feel bring development to the KM. I would rather use my time in that manner. However, we have been notified that the permanent secretary of our ministry has made some claims on the radio, on West Coast Radio, which I know to be a misrepresentation of the facts, and of course, might be even considered false in terms of the process the Alkaloship of Latrikunda has taken. First of all, the permanent secretary is a civil servant, and I am a political head. I really don't have any interaction or should have any interaction with the permanent secretary. His line of discussion is with his fellow civil servant, our CEO of council. He is the accounting officer of the ministry. Our CEO of the council is the accounting officer of KM. And civil servants are supposed to be apolitical and should serve many governments during their career. And I think it's ill-advised for him to talk about alkaloship issues, community issues, that might even also be political. So I would just caution him against being pinned against local elected members and members of the community. However, let's move on to the real issue. I think I've been being asked by the media to make some clarifications about how the Alkaloship selection came about. First of all, I want to make it very clear, as mayor, I don't know Pa Omar Fall or Suaibu Fall, and I am indifferent as to who becomes the alkali of the community of Latrikunda because I am not from there. I am indifferent about who becomes the alkali of any community. I am not interested. Everybody knows in KMC, when an alkali passes away, the mayor, myself, Talib Bensouda, have stayed away from all alkaloship selection processes. Unfortunately, during my time, 6 alkalis have passed away during my 2.5 years in office. The first alkali was in Abuko, and his name was Mr. Tamba. When he passed away, he was challenged by another family that once held the alkaliship, which is Latrikunda. And during that process, I stayed away, and that was our first experience. We set up a mediation team, which was headed by the Director of Compliance, Mr. Dembo Sane, and I had asked that all mediation efforts be moved away from my office because I know alkaloships are very sensitive and these are community issues, and I don't want anybody to feel that there was political interference. I took it upon myself to even ask them to hold the mediation efforts at Semegajane Hall, wherein it was successful between the families, and Latrikunda agreed to allow, Tambakunda agreed to allow the Latrikunda family to hold the alkaloship. During that process, our ministry advised the team to not only take their word for it, but to also give the yard owners, an opportunity to also endorse the alkaloship. In this file, which is my alkalo file, you will see that the process from Abuko all the way now to Latrikunda is exactly the same. The yard owners are attached to a letter from the council sent to the ministry for endorsement. This was done during the challenge in Abuko, Tambakunda versus Sisekunda. It was also later repeated in Talinding, Chamkunda versus Bajikunda. With Talinding, actually, the former mayor also wanted to see me because he's from the community of Talinding. And as much as I respect him, I said, look, I cannot interfere or even have any conversation or to be seen to have any conversation when it comes to this effort. Please go and discuss with the mediation team. Whatever their advice, I will send that recommendation. And this is a former mayor who I said I cannot meet because I don't want to be accused of interference in the selection of any alkaloship. The same process was followed. Yard owners' forms were filled. We sent it to the ministry, and they had approved it by the minister. And let me just tell you, with Abuko, there was no interaction between me and the minister. We did not even have a phone call. The selection was done with Talinding. The selection was done with Bakau, which was Jaitekunda versus Bojankunda. Actually, those who know that case, after the yard owner selection was done, where Bojankunda had more endorsers than Jaitekunda, when we sent it to the ministry endorsed it based on that voting sort of by yard owners. They later sued, Jaitekunda later sued and went to court. And you can see the ministry's response. I have provided copies after that court case, where the ministry in their letter forwarded to all of you states that the ministry is in receipt of this missive alluding to the subject matter above and with utmost great concern and consideration. The power to appoint an alcalo is vested on the Minister of Lands and Regional Government as stated in the Local Government Act 2002, Section 142, 1 and 2. It is therefore important to note that the above provisions of the Act are specific, thus unambiguous as to the appointing authority for the position of an alcalo. This is the ministry writing to the plaintiff who was suing in court. It further goes, in line with the above legal provision, this office wishes to inform you that the appointment of the alcalo of Bakau has been effected by the Honorary Minister in consultation with the Office of the Lord Mayor of Kanifi Municipal Council, who provided a supporting list of yard owners from Bakau. So in this letter, you see two things have been debunked, because I understand this, the PS said the minister doesn't have to consult me. And in this letter, it clearly says that they have consulted me. The other claim that the PS said was that the yard owners selection is sort of a fabricated process by the Kanifi Municipal Council. In this letter, they acknowledge that the yard owners are voting. It is what they considered in their decision making. So like I said, I want to clarify, I don't deal with rumors, I deal with facts. I file all my paperwork. In my alcalo form, you will see 4 alkaloships here. And you can pass it around and look at it. All the yard owners' forms are there. In the selection of alkalos, the same process is followed and the mayor is not involved. Now let me go back. Sisekunda versus Tambakunda. The same process was followed. This was the alkaloship of Abuko. The second one was in Talinding. Bajikunda versus Chamkunda. It was resolved without any problems. Bakau, Bojankunda versus Jaitekunda. The matter went to court, but the ministry doubled down on their decision, using the mayor's advice and also the yard owners selection process. The fourth alkaloship, Bakote, the son of the alkalo, inherited it without challenge. Fifth alkaloship, Serekunda, the brother of the alkalo, Mr. Job, inherited it without challenge. Why is Latrikunda Yiringanya, which followed the same process, so special? I do not understand. Because when that alkaloship issue started, I received a phone call from the minister. According to the PS, I am the one strong arming them. I can assure you I have no incentive to strong arm anybody. They are indeed the ones who were strong arming me for many months to make the recommendation they want. All I say to all parties, I have zero interest in this. I don't want to be involved. Let due process follow. Let the community sit with the mediation team and let the advice come, and I send my recommendation. When the announcement was made about Pa Omar Fall, I am neither angry or happy. I am indifferent. I have zero interest. I do not deal with alkali candidates. I deal with alkalis. The local government copies are sent to you. It says the minister, in consultation with the governor or the district CFO, selects an alkali. In the case of KMC, we have neither. The person the minister consults, as clearly stated in their letter from the Ministry of Local Government, the person they consult is the Lord Mayor. They have consulted me 5 times. I have sent my recommendation 6 times. 5 of them they have honored. The 6th one, according to them, they haven't honored. But I want to inform you, as of today, we have received 0 letters from the ministry indicating what their decision is. As of today, the 9th of February, today is the 9th. As of today, I have received 0 communique about the decision of the minister. So it seems to me they are preempting the community. I don't know. It seems to me they are doing some sort of propaganda. I don't know. But I think the professional thing to do is to wait. Because I did not go to the media and say, oh, the minister did this. No. When I am asked always, I say, this is what I have recommended based on the advice of the mediation team. I am not the judge to say this man has more right or that man has more right. My goal as a mayor is to have peace within the community and neighborliness within the community, and community matters are best resolved by members of the community. Another claim has been that I have disregarded one of the party's letters to me. And like I said before, I do not entertain visits about alkaloship. I do not entertain letters about alkaloship. The Swaibu Fall camp wrote to me saying that elders have selected Swaibu camp. I disregarded those letters. The Pa Omar Fall camp wrote to me and said the community have selected Pa Omar Fall. I have disregarded those letters. I have not entertained. The Director of Compliance is here. In my office, from Abuko, Bakote, Talinding, Serekunda, Latrikunda, Bakau, I have never entertained any single party writing to me. Because once I entertain it, they will say the mayor has interfered in our community, the mayor has done this for political reasons or whatnot. And I will repeat, I have 0 interest in who becomes the alkali of any community. That is a community matter. But I just want to debunk a lot of the falsehoods that were said on the radio. That I have disregarded one member's letter. I disregard all letters. That I have created a fabricated system of yard owners. This is a system recommended by the ministry that we have followed from all these 6 alkali issues. If the system was so bad, how come they have approved 5 alkalis based on this system and never wrote to us and said this system is bad? Why is the alkaliship of Latrikunda Yiringanya so interesting? That is a question you should ask to them. But I also want to speak to Swaibu Fall and Pa Omar Fall. I am not against you, I am not for you. Whoever becomes the alkali as appointed by the minister, I will work with them for the best interest of the community and for the nation. But in terms of the process of the alkaloship, I have no hand in it. Whoever the minister appoints, I did not go against you or for you. The mediation committee, based on their advice, is what I forward as a recommendation to the ministry. I think I just want to make this point very, very clear. So I apologize. I know these are not briefings that add value to our community, but it adds value to our democracy and honesty and transparency. So I think it is my duty as the mayor of the municipality, the political head, to clarify to community members, the people who are competing for the alkaloship, and to repeat, please, we are not entertaining any violence within our community. We want peace to prevail. But to the ministry, I say, please do not misrepresent the facts and create falsehoods that are not factual. And like I said, the media as well, if anybody reports to you, please always ask them, where is your documentation? Where is the correspondence? If I don't have correspondence, documentation of facts, I simply do not go to the media, because it is my word versus somebody else's word, and it belittles my position as mayor. All right, so this is where I end the press conference. If you have any questions, I am happy to respond.
Yes, what I want to understand is whether you use the same system to solve 5 out of 6 problems of the same alkalo problem. Now, you use the same system to solve the Latrikunda problem. Why is it that exactly? What is the problem behind it? Do we suggest that because we spoke to one of the, I spoke to his wife before I wrote the story. What he suggested to me was, Palmer always said he is the NPP and Barrow is going to choose him over his wife, and he always brag about that. And then also your request for them to have the signatories of the Yadol, he deliberately torn it at Omar deliberately torn it down, and which was brought the signature to the Yadol. So, but speaking to the PS said actually that what's why we brought includes the tenants, not only the Yadol. What do we suggest? What do we know about it? What do you think that actually this thing is? You come from a different party. That is the NPP and the UDP, and we have seen the political difference now between the UDP and the NPP. Do you think this particular one, that is a political fight?
Thank you for the question. Like I said, I don't want to speculate why there's so much interest in this alkaloship, and you being journalists, I think it is your duty to investigate why the ministry has special interest, it seems, in this alkaloship. In terms of how the process was going, one thing I can tell you, the process took longer than usual. The process took longer than usual because of a lot of interference from outsiders who do not have a stake in the community. On average, this process takes 1 month, at most 2 months, and we resolve it. But in this case, it took 8 months. And I, to a certain point, delayed the process to calm the tensions. But in terms of what Pa Omar Far did in that session, maybe the chairman of the mediation team can shed light on that. Mr. Dembosane complies.
Alkalis, if they are being appointed, they have to work with council. And council is to effect the emoluments as well. If somebody who's supposed to effect your emoluments and call you for a discussion, and you said you're not going to answer to that person, it will be very difficult for a smooth working relationship within the community and then the council, which is the apex body of Alkalol. Omar Fall, as the mayor rightly said, we call them because we are impartial in this issue. When there is a problem, this matter was announced at the mosque of Latrikunda, Yiringanya. The Imam Ratib of the community installing Pa Omar Fall as the alcalde of the community. And then it created some problems within the community. And then the Lord Mayor doesn't want to see problems within the community. He asked us to ensure that they are being called to resolve this matter in a peaceful way. That was the case which happened. And then we called both parties. On arrival at council, Pa Omar saw some crowd here. He said, well, you didn't call me for that. I'm here and I'm seeing a crowd. I said, well, if the crowd comes here is council. We don't have the audacity to tell these people, go out, because we are going to do this meeting in-house. And none of them would be allowed to get into the house. It's you and Pa Omar who should be there. He said, I'm coming. He left and never come back. We waited for so long. We called him. He said, I'm coming. I'm trying to come with some people. He said, well, Pa Omar, you cannot drag us longer. We already called all of you to be here. And then these people you refer to are not part of the meeting. So why should you do that? He never come. And then we have to postpone the meeting for another date. Being the apex body of Alkalol, the mayor is the head of the Alkalol here. So if the mayor called for a meeting through a mediation committee, I think it would be prudent on the person to come and listen to see whether what is being discussed is fair to him or not. But he did not go. We suspended the matter and then called for another day. We call again, he never turned up. It has gone for so long that anytime we call, he wouldn't come. And we were surprised. We said, anyway, there are problems going on within the community and we want order in the community. How can we resolve this matter? And then we decided to call 5 community members, each of them to come up with their own community members. And when the community members came, and they said, they all sat, we had a meeting. And then each of them were given the opportunity to talk. And Pa Omar's side are saying that they are the father. This man, Pa Omar, is the father, and then Suwaibu is the son. And during that meeting, one of the elders, one Mr. Bajan, in the community said, there is no blood relationship between two of you. In fact, you were not a citizen of Latrikunda. In your birth certificate or your passport, it indicated Banjul. And among the requirements of Alkaloship, you must be a born citizen of that community. So after all those discussions, we have to put them in one house, 2 of them, Pa Omar and the other party, to go and discuss within themselves. Unfortunately, they never meet to terms. But what can we do as authority? We said, well, the last option is that what the ministry gave us. Because this don't come out of blue to come with these forms and give it out to the alcaldes. The mayor can do one thing, can look at these 2 people, because they said the mayor, the minister in consultation with the governor or the CFO. In the case of KMC, is the mayor. The mayor can only look at these 2 people to ensure that both of them came from the traditional line, and then appoint one of them. But to be impartial, he said the mediation committee has to look into this matter and then come up with a conclusion. So that was how it came. Otherwise, mayor would choose one among them and recommend to the minister, and then the minister would have approved that appointment. But if the minister goes otherwise, we have nothing to say. In fact, we are not here, as the mayor said, we are not here to say, we are administrators. Mayor is a politician. That is why he excused himself from that. But even my humble self, he's been blamed of what I'm trying to do, of not doing, observing certain protocols and the like. I'm not calling press briefings. It's only journalists would come and ask me the status of this situation. And I said, what we have done is that we've already forwarded the letter to the ministry. I wait for their response. I don't think that is a bad thing. The government is even saying journalists should be given the opportunity to have information so that there would be no false information within the media. So this is as a result of what I'm doing. But I'm not here as well to support one community. It is not easy for us because we are going to pay for it. Alkalis are in our community and they are being paid as part of their contribution to the council with commissions. So now if we are to pay you, you don't want to work with us, and you are appointed, how would you work with people? This was another question. We are not challenging the ministry or confronting them. We are administrators and we thought we should be working to the best interest of the community. And we are not troubleshooters as well. We want to ensure the community works in harmony. Because whatever is happening, we should all know that alkali is traditional inheritance in a community. And that thing must be respected. We are here to make them one, to work together, and so forth. But we are not the appointed, we are only a consulting part. You can be an advisor to a person. You give him your honest opinion. If the person accepts it, he takes it. If he doesn't, he can take another way. So this is how it comes. And we are not unhappy with any of them or to say that we are here to support either Swaibu or Omar Farr. I've been working for this KMC since 1992 to date and have witnessed selections of many alkalis, and there was no problem. What used to happen here was that if an alkali died, the Lord Mayor would ensure that the community comes with somebody. Sometimes we don't want two parties. We'll tell, go into your own community and then come up with one person to support. Because we want somebody to come here who would be able to work with the community. We don't want to impose people on the community. So as a result, we will only write and then we'll have some supporting letters, supporting members, and then will be sent to the ministry. As the mayor rightly alluded to, the first one we did, the ministry said no. We wrote to the ministry, they said no. They gave us this format. In fact, we improvised the format. Because when we had an experience with that of Bakau, they were saying that whether those people who supported the other part are yard owners.
Support your, so this was the first forms.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
It was handwritten.
Exactly.
You see, this is the Abuko form. We improvised.
Yeah.
Because we sent the letter first, they said no, the man who the community wants should go to the yard owners for endorsement. It's handwritten form. This was Abuko.
Yeah.
So the second one, that's why I wanted you guys to go through this. So the second one, as you can see, this was Bapa. You see, the forms were later typed. You see. So, like I said, these you're not creating stuff, and we have zero interest to create or fabricate anything. I have zero interest in alkalis. For me, the most important thing is once you are an alkali, one, you serve on our ward development committee at the community level, and you work with the councillor, and you advance our development agenda, not our political agenda, because alkalis are supposed to be apolitical. So you advance the development agenda of the council, you advocate for peace and harmony, you try to bring neighborliness within the community. Actually, alkalis are so important in terms of their leadership, because they are the ones who people should always see as apolitical, to bring all parties together, all religions together. That's why I even forwarded the Local Government Act. We are not under any illusion about our right to appoint or dismiss alkalis. We are not saying we have that right. What we are saying is our recommendations are impartial, they are apolitical, and they are on the basis of an independent mediation team. Now, when we look at Abuko, the mediation team involves always the councillor. The councillor in Abuko is APRC, Parliament Jiba. He was the only member in that mediation team. And when the decision was made, Parliament Jiba was the one who came to me and said, Mayor, we have resolved it. You understand? In the case of Talinding, we have two councillors, Talinding South, Karamo Sise, who's a UDP elected member, Babukar Mansali, who's an APRC elected member, When the decision was made that Bajikunda should retain the alkaloship, they came and said the situation is resolved. In the case of Serakunda, both councillors are PDOIS. In the case of Latrikunda Yiringanya, you have Tombong Jaju, who's an APRC member. You have Musa Ba, who's a UDP member. And then it also includes Kanifing South, and the member there is called Basiru Sar, also a UDP member. So wherever the alkaloship is under contention, the mediation team we add, Director of Compliance as chair, Religious Affairs, who's also there, and you have the alkalos rep, who's Mr. Ibrahim Sohna, who's the alkali of Dipakunda, and we also have the councillors of the territory concerned and the NAM, National Assembly member. And they form the mediation team, and together they make the assessment. The mediation team is supposed to just try and bring both parties to a compromise. It worked in Aboko, it worked in Talindi. It did not work in Bakau, so that's why that one was contentious. But it worked in all other areas. So we don't even like fights, because what happens, if it gets to the point of competition, no matter what, it will be very hard to heal that community. That's what we know. And that's why we do not just get up and select somebody. We try for it to be a compromise, because once it's a compromise, the community will be healed and they'll be united. And like they rightly said, we only work with alkalis after they are appointed. I, the mayor, I've given you the Local Government Act, decide how an alkali is paid in consultation with the minister. Just like in the appointment, the minister consults me, but he makes the decision. In how they are paid, I make the decision, but I consult the minister. You understand what I'm saying? The minister cannot tell me how to pay an alkalo. He can advise on how I can pay an alkalo. I cannot tell him, appoint an alkalo by force. I can advise him to appoint an alkalo. This is it. And we are not stating otherwise. What we are only stating is to all parties of Latrikunda Yiringanya, we have followed an impartial system, a due process to come up with a recommendation. I would not have had this press conference if the PS did not choose to jump the gun and go to the media and try to misrepresent or try to categorize me as somebody who's trying to manipulate the system. My integrity is the reason I am doing this, but the PS and I have zero linkage. I am a political head of this region. My communication is to the minister. He's an accounting officer. His communication is to the CEO. And I would like to advise him to keep it that way. It is not healthy for a permanent secretary of a ministry to always go on media, mayor this, mayor that, mayor this, mayor that, community this, community that. You are a civil servant. You should be apolitical. Your job as the chief accounting officer of the Ministry of Local Government and Religious Affairs is to administrate and report to Parliament. End of story. Yeah.
The PS agreed that this process runs contrary to the Local Government Act, because according to there is no act within this local government framework where funds are to be given to people for them to decide on who to be their alcalde. So if that was the case, it's arguable or contentious. If that was the case, how did you rely on or what person or what laws did you rely on to embark on that process?
I think I've already answered this question, and there's a letter in front of you that contradicts everything the permanent secretary said. That's why I've given you the letter. They themselves acknowledge that the decision they made was because of my recommendation and because of the forms given to the yard owners. We did not create these forms. They are the ones who said we should use these forms. You understand what I'm saying? It is not us who said, okay, let's do forms. No. We did mediation in Aboko. That was the first alkali that passed away. When they met at Semeka Jane Hall, all the Tamba Kunda supporters came, all the Sise Kunda supporters came. After intense mediation, Tamba Kunda said they will leave it for Sise Kunda. when we sent the recommendation, they said, no, we want to see yard owners' endorsement. That's how this came up. For us, it's the mediation. And I am telling you now, like I said, as a journalist, you have to take your time and read. There's forms used in Abuko, there's forms used in Talinding, there's forms used in Bakau, there's forms used in Bakote, Serekunda, there's forms used in Talinding. So in all these 5 situations, we have sent these forms with my recommendation, we receive a letter back, recommendation approved. So why in these 5 situations? We have never received a letter. If they say they never recommended these forms, because that is Kiwana, Kalewana, Kiwana, Kalewana. My question is, when we send the other 5 forms, why is it that we never got a letter saying that, dear Lord Mayor, this form process is not something we approve. Can you please do without it and just send us this, that. But no. In every letter with the forms, all attached, it is saying, we have seen your letter, your recommendation is approved, we now kindly ask you to send an endorsement to the alcalde. So like I said, these are things that are on paper. I'm not fabricating. And you can take your time and review all these other cases. If also those so he said some of the things are fake, that they use not landowners, they used, what did you say they used? They use tenants. Why is it that they did not write to us and say, can you ask Swaibu Fall to go back? He has used tenants. It's just correspondence. I say, I have recommended based on what Swaibu Fall have brought. Write back and say, well, our investigation is Swaibu Fall used tenants. Can you ask him to go back and use yard owners?
He said he used 2 of them, the yard owners, both the yard owners and tenants.
Yeah, so why didn't he write back? They wrote and said they want to see the letters that the Pa Omar Fall's elders have sent to me. I wrote back, I said, dear minister, you have never, first of all, they've never asked for this. So they asked me, can you please send us what they have written to you? I wrote back to them and said, sorry, part of the process I have taken for selecting alcalis, I do not encourage unilateral letters from any party. I do not encourage unilateral visits from any party. If there's an invitation here from KMC, it's through the mediation committee and both parties must be present. He has just told you that the meeting has been called off twice because the parties, where one of the parties did not show up. We cannot just meet one party because then we will be accused of favoritism. You understand what I'm saying? So what we are stating here is the facts. If they feel that tenants were used, write and say tenants were used. We write back to Swaibu Fall. In this situation, consider me like an email, like a messenger. When they write to me, I give mediation, look what they wrote, please. When mediation writes to me, I send my recommendation, finish. I do not want anybody saying, Talib Bensouda was interfering in our community matters, Talib Bensouda was doing politics in our Alkaloship selection, Talib Bensouda, I don't need that, I don't want that. And I understand this is a very sensitive issue. Imagine today, your father left you with a house, your inheritance, and somebody took that house from you. That person you will consider an enemy. And I don't want to be an enemy of anybody. You understand what I'm saying? So with inheritance matters, I simply have one rule. I do not interfere. I don't want to know who are the parties. I don't want to know what their political leanings are. I don't want to know whether they like me or not. All I want to know, this is something that is legitimate based on traditional lines and endorsed by the community. Because a leader cannot lead without the endorsement of your community. All right? Yes.
Yeah, good morning. I have 2 questions.
Yes.
We'll reserve the rest
Yes.
later.
Yeah.
It has to do with the issue of the Arab relation. Then the issue of inheritance becomes a non-issue. So did you try to find that? Because somebody who is not part of family cannot inherit such role. So did you try to find out whether these 2 people are in fact related? That is one. The other issue has to do with the issue of him not turning up or not respecting your meetings. How did you feel about that? Did that in any way influence whatever recommendation or decision you ended up taking?
And they are the elders of the community. So these elders of the community are the very people who were there. It was said in their presence, Farmers represented 5, and we have Swahili represented 5. In Swahili, in Farmers representative, somebody said Omar is the father and Swahili is the son. One Mr. Bayan, in his representation of Swahili, said there is no blood relationship. They even went to the extent to tell them the compound they live was bought from somebody. I have the minutes of that process. The minutes is there, and when the ministry asks for it, we send them the minutes of what has been said there.
Did you try to verify that? Because that is a very serious claim. Did you try to verify it?
In what way? Because the community leaders are already there who were there at the time. One of them, this person is the very person who said he was even one of them, he was among the people who endorsed the alkaloship of Omar's father some years back. And they came with the reason of doing that. If you are willing to see, we will provide you the copy of those minutes. We'll go through it because we want to be impartial here. That's why when the ministry writes, we send them all the details. Those are the community leaders who were there for so long. Verification of those things, I cannot verify that because when those parents were there, I was not there at the time. So the verification.
I think that would have made your work much easier because family and someone who is not family cannot fight over something that belongs to family. So that is what made me a little confused.
No, but I think this is very clear unless you make it otherwise. The elders of the community are all seated, 10 elders of the community.
And they didn't say anything?
They confirmed. They even told him the compound they acquired was bought from so and so. But they said to Pa Omar, look at your ID card. Your place of birth is not Latrikunda. What is in Banjul? They said to him, if it is no, Pa Omar would have told them at that scene there that no, I was born in Latrikunda. It is Pa Omar who has to verify that, not me. If they said you are not born in Latrikunda and you kept quiet, silence is constant.
But what does the government know that the council doesn't know? The government is saying his uncle, his father. So it's a little controversial.
I think then, Lamin, I think then you have to ask the government to show you that evidence. We are not saying this man has, I'm not saying Swaibu has right over Pa Omar. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Pa Omar has right over Swaibu. What we are saying is the comments and the sort of the facts that were, not facts, but how the PS was representing it. That's what we are trying to debunk. We have exercised this process based on precedents. We have done it in 5 other cases. If the process was flawed, I think it should have brought to our attention in the 5 other cases. That's all I'm saying. I am not happy if one wins. I am not sad if one wins. I am indifferent. What we are here to do is to protect the integrity of the process and also to clarify and debunk the misrepresentation that was said on West Coast Radio. That's all this press conference is about. But in terms of if the ministry feels they have proof, I think that is their responsibility to prove it to the public. We have said what we have done to select this process, and we have done it 5 other times. We do not have a history book of the families of KM. All we have, because alkaloships, remember, are informal. They are sort of an informal process. All we have is the elders of the community to come and tell us the history. Now, if you bring your elders, another party bring their elders, these elders claim this, that other elders claim that, and we don't have any records in the history book on family lineage. What can we do? All we can ask now is to follow the process we have followed 5 other times. Here's your forms. Go and get the community's endorsement. Here's your form, go and get the community's endorsement. You've done it in Abuko, Talinde, Bakau, Bakote, Serakunda. Why is Latrikunda so special? And what we wanted from the ministry is, if they said the process was not the way it should be, why haven't they written to us that the process has a problem in all these 5 other cases? I think that should be the interaction with us and the ministry. They are the body regulating the activities of local government. They are the policy makers for local government and how local government should operate. So if we send them something, they say, no, these are not the process or the procedures or the policies. And you spell it out for us. Let them present you a document where they have written to us spelling out the process of alkalosis. So it is their responsibility now to prove why Pa Omar is the legitimate holder. I am not interested who becomes the alkali. I am just interested in protecting the integrity of this council and how we operate. Now, if one person becomes the alkali, then I invite you. That's the first time you can ask them. The first time I meet the candidates is when they are alkali. I do not meet them when you are vying for the alkaloship. I meet you when you are an alkali, and I tell you, your number 1 duty is this, your number 2 duty is, your number 3 duty is, and this is how you work with council. Because you are part of now the council structures. You work with our WDCs, you help us in rates collection, and therefore are paid. To change that, I just need to go to council and say, now we've decided that we will no longer pay this amount, or this is how the process will go. That's my decision. But in terms of Yoyaineka Alkali, no, I don't decide that. I pass it to the community advise the committee advise me, I advise the minister. End of story. Whether the minister accepts my advice or doesn't accept my advice, then that's his responsibility. We are all accountable for the decisions we make in office. I make many decisions here, and I am accountable for them. The decisions that I am not supposed to make, I don't want them. I have enough problems. All right, so that's all we are clarifying here.
That's my second question.
Yeah, what's that?
That has to do with the decision you took or recommendations that you sent to the ministry.
Yeah.
Did the issue of power not respecting to be part of your meeting affect it in any way?
I was not part of that meeting. All I know was when the forms were submitted to my office, they said one party decided to take the forms, the other party declined to take the forms. That's all.
Do you feel disrespected?
I do not feel, I don't.
I spoke to the other party,
yeah.
And they were telling me the council wasn't happy with power.
Well, look.
Officials were like, okay,
look,
this
if end of day, you have to work with us. Because working, you have to have a good working relationship, you need to work in good faith, and you have to have a common goal. If the administrators, because I was not part of that, if the administrators feel offended by his conduct, then that is the administrator's side. I think he has made it clear that they are unhappy. But what I'm saying is, as far as my recommendation, it is not based on their happiness or their unhappiness. Whether they are offended by Palmer's behavior or not, my recommendation is not based on that. My recommendation was based on what? I only saw one set of forms in front of me. If 2 people apply for a job, one brings his CV, the other one don't bring his CV, who are you going to take? The one who has his CV. So if they both brought the forms, then maybe you can ask me, Mayor, why did you pick this one over that one? And usually how we do it, we just look how many yard owners. In case of Bakau, if I remember clearly, Bojankunda had 1,600 yard owners, the other one had 700 yard owners. I forward Bojankunda. Now, even in the Bakau case, if I remember the court case, Jaita Kunda is claiming that Bojankunda used tenants instead of yard owners. I think that was the case. And they wrote to the ministry to complain. And the ministry responded with this letter I have sent you, saying that no, the minister has the sole power in consultation with the office of the mayor and in reference to the forms that were submitted. The letter is in front of you.
How about the third man? It would appear that he is the person who sparked all these problems, because he was supposed to be the person who would take over, only for him to write to say that he is not interested. And he recommended, according to
That's what we thought. We recommended.
I don't know who caused the problems. I don't know. All I know is we followed a process. Well, look. Well, that's speculation. I don't want to speculate. I don't. Yeah. I have never met the man. I have never. Yeah, maybe.
Writing a letter to say to endorse the other project.
Well, I think you will hear me earlier when I said, you know, that one is not relevant as far as we are concerned. What is relevant is that there was a problem in the community. And this problem arose at the central mosque of Latrikunda, where the Imam Latif of the community announced appointment of Pa Omar. That was what involved council in this process. Had it been that there was no problem with that, when they appointed him there, the community said, yes, he's the one. This would not have arisen. Then there will be no case. But the moment there is a problem in the community, council cannot sit and see the community in trouble or in problem. We always saying that we want to see them in peace and harmony. Where that lacks, that causes us to call them. But whether somebody who is supposed to, in fact, the person, according to what you're saying, he said he's not healthy. That was the reason why he cannot take that responsibility. And that person you are talking about was an ex-staff of council, which we know very well. He said he's not well. He cannot take. So we cannot blame anybody for that. If you are not healthy, you think you cannot shoulder the task, I think that is the best bet for you to decline, to say, well, I cannot do it. So the problem is that we want peace to maintain in Latrikunda. And you see, I don't want, there are certain things you are posing on me, you are putting it to me as a civil servant, as a public servant as well. Because they're only thinking that I am confronting with the decision of the minister or so. And that is not telling well. I am doing my work as an administrator. I'm not being consulted. The consultation is the minister and then the Lord Mayor. The Mayor gave us a task to make sure that we do things right. One thing I like him for, whatever you are trying to do, he wants standard. He wants you to maintain standard. And he wants you to maintain professionalism in whatever you do, and maturity as well. So this is why we are together with him to come up with a decision for the betterment and for the best interest of the community of Latrikunda. And we thought we've done our part. Whatever comes out of it, we don't have that audacity or the mandate to challenge that. We cannot challenge the minister's decision. He has the mandate to come up with a decision in contrary to our recommendation. So we are not unhappy about that situation. If there is a problem to come, it's not our problem. And we don't want to see the public thinking that KMC is trying to create or strike a problem within this thing so that the community would have a problem. We don't want that. We want peace to be maintained within the community. So it is a concern.
What I want to ask, for me, all of this is unnecessary. This is a waste of valuable time of the municipality. Because when a mayor sits here, it means I am away from development work. What should have happened? Mayor has recommended. Minister doesn't want to take the mayor's recommendation. He writes and says, Mayor, even though you have recommended this, this is what my decision is. End of story. Now, if there's a pushback from the community, and the minister feels that he needs to justify his decision, the minister, not the mayor, the minister should come out and say, I have made this decision for reasons A, B, and C, and D. If at all he feels the need to be transparent with the public. If he doesn't feel the need, that's also the minister's decision. What we are countering here is, number one, you have not even sent us the letter, you fly to the radio. Number two, you are not even justifying your decision, you are trying to blame somebody else for your decision. Because just as the laws don't say, this is the process the mayor has to take, the laws don't state any process. The processes are determined based on our better judgment. All the law says the mayor appoints alcalos in consultation with the governors or CFOs. In our case, it is the mayor. And when you go to the section that talks about compensation, it says the governor, mayor, decides the compensation of the alkali in consultation with the minister. Where there is no governor, there is a mayor. That is always interchangeable. We all know this in this country. So this is decision so called def dang fa de wala nga apologize. Wante do muna wax ne def na decision bi wante ki motax ma def decision bi. I cannot accept that. That's why I'm coming here to say, if you make a decision, don't blame me for your decision. Make your decision. How many times council committees, they recommend to the council or they recommend to the mayor's office, but sometimes I take their decision, sometimes I don't take their decision, but if I do take their decision, I am accountable. If I don't take their recommendation, I am accountable. And I am accountable for my decision. But bul jël decision nga ne kii moo tax mu def ni kii na la def kale na la def. That is the only reason for this press conference. We are not saying the decision is good, we are not saying the decision is bad. We are saying this is how our recommendation came about, debunking a lot of claims that were made on the radio. And like I said, the PS and I should not even have interactions. He's a civil servant. Who knows? Next time there might be a UDP government and we'll work together. That's why civil service, you have to be apolitical, because you never know who you're going to end up working with. Let the minister and the mayor, let us argue. He's a political appointee. I am an elected official. That's our job. We talk on the radio. When the civil servants do the work, do the work, do the work. Report to parliament, do the work. Okay, so like I said, I think this matter is very simple. You have all the documents in your hands. Review it. They tell their own story. All right, we just want to assure the people of Latrikunda and both parties, both Omar Fall and Suaibu Fall, we have followed the process in the most honest possible way and followed the process in the most transparent way, the most apolitical way as possible and impartial. And the decision whether they are alkali or not now is in the desk of the minister. Whoever is brought here as the alcalo, all we want is cooperation in the best interest of the community and let harmony and peace and development prevail in their communities. That's it. To the community of Latrikunda, we want to advise them to avoid any forms of violence, to protest or sort of say what they want to say within the confines of the laws of the Republic of the Gambia. Finish. All right, so I think that is clear as possible. All right, thank you.
If you want to receive monies from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world, Supersonics Money Transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonics Money Transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.